videos from all over the internet that's going to make you question everything. Let's just start.
It's not like I agree with everything the administration does. So it's like I agree with much of what the administration does, but we have differences of opinion. The things that I don't entirely agree with. But it's difficult for me to bring that up in an interview because then it creates a bone of contention. So then I'm a little stuck in a bind where I'm like, well, I don't want to, speak out against the administration, but I don't want to. I also don't want to take responsibility for everything the administration is doing.
I don't understand the complicated ways of Silicon Valley and Washington, D.C., but I do understand that Elon Musk is desperately trying, as subtly as he can, but as clearly as he can, to separate himself from the work that he did over the past 4 or 5 months that savaged his reputation in the business world and has hurt Tesla. And you can see it there. Oh, I'm not going to get specific, but I don't agree with everything they're doing. Nod, nod, wink, wink.
Yeah, and what's he going to get instead? Because of that, he's going to get a news conference in the Oval Office where Donald Trump is going to make him grab with both arms a lot of what he did in the administration. That's what we're seeing here a little bit. I mean, now I'm told that Musk and Trump, there is personal fondness there. There has not been the falling out that so many people expected. The two men do get along. But he, and his telling, thought he could do more than what he did. So that's number one. But secondly, though frustrated there, he now sees the aftermath and the impact of what it's done on his businesses. And we've chronicled quite a bit on this show how Tesla has really taken a hit and how Musk's reputation has really taken a nosedive in a lot of quarters around the country and frankly planet right now, the way his companies have suffered in Europe and other places. So yes, he is trying. He's trying to be subtle, but he is trying his best to separate himself. But that's just drawn some ire from the Trump people.
Okay, how is this not getting talked about more? Chinese geologists just discovered the world's largest gold mine in the middle of their industrial province. Now, initially, they thought it was only 375 metric tons of gold, which they discovered. But after their geologists did a 3D scan, they realized it was 1,100 metric tons of gold, which is larger than any mine in the world, including the ones in South Africa. It's valued at $100 billion, and China said they have no plans of selling any of it. They just want to keep stacking. And this is nothing low grade. It's 30 times richer than a typical gold mine. The largest one prior to this was the one in South Africa, the South Deep, which has produced 40% of all gold in human history. China already mined 375 tons of gold a year, which is the most in the world, and now they get to double down.
It is a dictatorship, and there's not much we can do about it right now. Let's just fucking be honest. All of these alarm bells are ringing. Federal court judge blocks this, but all this shit is still happening. Why? Where? In what type of society does that happen? A dictatorship. It's not pre-dictatorship. It's not up and coming. It's here. Real time. You know why we're seeing so much extreme shit on a day-to-day basis? Because everybody who is on board with the Trump administration that has power in the government, whether it be local, state, or federal, right? They feel so empowered now to move forward with their extreme views that they have historically had to harbor away or hide away, given the current administration or the current obstacles in the way. But now that they feel like it's the wild, wild west, that's why we see all of this extreme shit. That fucking senator just said, oh, well, everybody dies. We're going to cut Medicaid except for the eligible because, oh, everybody dies. Fuck them. Okay, then go die. Since death is just such a throw up light thing, go die. Everybody dies, go die. She doesn't want death, but when you cut Medicaid for people, then everybody dies. You know how fucking extreme that is? They're trying to float bills that will ban books. I don't know how the fuck anybody calls Donald Trump a strong man when he can't take criticism for fucking shit. Explain how these tariffs are going to help us. Explain how your economy has been the best ever when the numbers don't line up with that at all. Give us some real evidence about the white genocide in South Africa. Bring your fucking pocket junkie Elon Musk before Congress. What the fuck do you mean that some unelected billionaire never stood before Congress, never fucking got elected, nothing fucking bullshit? goes in under this Doge shit, goes through all of our personal information, doing ketamine on the daily, and other uppers, downers, I don't know, whatever the fuck. So basically, you let a rich drug addict run through our personal information.
Crazy.
That nobody voted for in a democracy. And nothing happened to him. He is a free man right now. It's a dictatorship. It's not it's not upcoming, it's here. A unanimous Supreme Court decision. Go get Kilmar. Is he here? They said we're going after the worst of the worst criminals. We're going to get them all out of here. And then they revoke people with legal status. And then they have ICE agents waiting at courthouses for people going through the legal process. Do people going through the legal process sound like the worst of the worst fucking criminals to you? It is a dictatorship. Congress? Are you fucking kidding me? We don't have a fucking Congress. I am yet to be able to make a fucking video about my opinion of Caroline Leavitt because I get so fucking upset. I can't stand that bitch. You know why I think Obama is 10 million times the man Donald Trump could ever be? Because when there were hecklers at his rallies or his speeches or people that interrupted, he said, hey, freedom of speech is a thing here and we respect it. Let them yell. Let them shout. He always said, don't boo, vote. He let them use their freedom of speech, even if it was in a negative way, even if it was criticizing him.
Crazy.
You can't tell Donald Trump shit. It's just incredible to me that people will support a man who immediately turns into this little crybaby when you present him with facts that are contradictory to his delusion that he's the greatest thing that ever happened to America. I have the greatest economy ever. The bad parts are Biden, the good parts are me. They present him with facts. I don't hate you, Donald. These are just the facts. He says, fake reporter, you're terrible. Your network is terrible. You should be investigated, yada, yada, yada. That's not strength. That's straight pussy shit. I just saw some MAGA motherfucker talk about Democrats are babies, like we've been crying about a fake election for the last 5 years. In counting. You know who fucking whines and bitches and moans about the rules when they lose? Babies, children. What the fuck are we talking about? The leftist lunatics? Which leftist lunatic Democrat stormed the Capitol in January of this year? And that's not even hating either side. That's just the facts. You can't look at both sides and call the left the lunatics when in 2021, the right stormed the fucking Capitol. What the fuck are we talking about? You cannot call the Democrats babies when you all have been crying and bitching about the 2020 election. To this day, Trump is still talking about Biden. To this day, in present time. He just floated and endorsed and whatever the fuck this conspiracy about Biden being executed and it being behind him being a robot. Move the fuck on. They were talking about, it's going to be a fake election. It was a rigged election just before the November election in 2024. And then when he won, that got cut off. They shut the fuck up because when they win, it can't possibly be rigged. It's what the American people wanted, even though it was a damn near 50-50 popular vote. It has gotten to a point where it genuinely does not matter if you're on the right, left, Republican, Democrat. It just should be a collective, universal, unanimous, what the fuck is this? And the answer to that is, it is a dictatorship. And it's sad. And it's fucking sad.
Correct.
So Elon Musk went through all of our data this year and then decided to leave. And I'm supposed to believe that the 2028 election is just going to be free and fair. They've already mentioned how he had his hand in the voting computers and shit like that. And y'all gave him, 4+ months to do whatever the fuck to everything. And then he just disappears and that's his tenure. Nothing happened. The 2028 election is going to be a fucking shit show.
I don't think you guys realize what's happening right now. AI is actually collapsing. AI is training on its own data. As it trains on more synthetic data that's been generated by AI and not by humans, it starts to show more unsafe results. 24% of the entire internet in 2025 is actually AI generated. This is up from 2 to 3% in 2023. Human data is running out to train AI. And AI is like a snake eating its own tail right now.
The weirdest part of all was what the late Abigail Gluck whispered.
Like I'll say, a crazy mummified corpse whispering Nibiru is creepy times 10.
It gets creepier. I googled it and found a lot. Namely this. Nibiru is a planet listed in the writings of Zecharia Sitchin, particularly his book The 12th Planet. According to Sitchin's interpretation of Babylonian religious texts, a giant planet called Nibiru passes by Earth every 3,600 years and allows its sentient inhabitants to interact with humanity. These beings, which Sitchin identified with the Anunnaki of Sumerian myth, would become humanity's first gods. My favorite internet encyclopedia says there's supposed to be a collision. The Nibiru collision is a disastrous encounter between the Earth and a large planetary object. Believers in this doomsday event usually refer to this object as Planet X, or Nibiru.
The doomsday event?
I am of the Anunnaki, interdimensional beings that visit the planet Earth every few thousand years. We arrive at a time called Nibiru, when the barriers between our worlds grow weak. The Anunnaki have a great history of helping humans, but we have no physical form and must inhabit animals. But not all Anunnaki are kind and good. There are evil ones, and the most evil one of all is imprisoned beneath Crystal Cove and must not be set free.
Jesus was a mystic. Jesus was a mystic. Jesus was not crucified for the sin of man, but instead crucified because man could not understand him, could not control him, and could not profit off of him. And so what did they do? They crucified him, and then they created a religion which they could profit off of his teachings by misconstruing them. Jesus did not teach us that we were all separate from God, and that the only way that we could truly reach God was through him. Jesus taught that we all had God within us, that we all had the powers that he was displaying to us inside of us, that we all had access to that power. Jesus was an ascended master. An ascended master is someone who knows all of the secrets, who is able to come here and become spiritually awakened 100%, to be able to release their ego. That is why they say that Jesus had no sin, is because sin is ego. When we talk about what sin is living in your ego. If you think about what our ego is greed, is lust, is not caring about other people, right? And that's what sin is. And so Jesus was without sin because he had the biggest awakening and ego death in the 3 years that he was away, from 30 to 33. And when he came back, he was prophesying to people the truths that he had found. And the truths that he had found was that we all had the kingdom of heaven within us, right? That our bodies were literally the temple, that our bodies held the Spirit of God. And so I find it so unfortunate now, as I have stepped away, I think, from really aligning with modern day Christianity, that I've also been met with a lot of, Jesus loves you, this isn't, Christ-like, whatever, because stepping away from modern day Christianity has been very hard for me, right? I came from a very, very orthodox, very conservative religion growing up, and I think that had a lot to do with how I see Christianity in the lens that I see it in now. Fast forward to as an adult, I tried kind of the, other side of it. I tried more of a progressive Christian church, and I just consistently found one thing: the community skews Christ. The churches skew Christ. If you go to a church, you're going to hear so many different teachings, so many different doctrines, so many different things, right? And I found that Christ was being used as an agenda, not as a gateway of healing, like a lot of churches teach that they're doing, right? And so when I talk about Christianity, I am not talking about Christ being bad. Christ was amazing. Christ was an energy that I still call upon a lot in my spiritual practices. What I am saying when I say fuck Christianity is fuck the propaganda that is taught to us that we need a man to connect with God, that marriage is only between a man and a woman, that, you know, that we should fear hell. Like, fuck the propaganda that is teaching us that we don't have our own true personal power and that we should be disconnected from that. Fuck the religion that has oppressed my people for many generations, right? Christianity was literally used to enslave black people for hundreds of years, and black people are still being enslaved through their minds because Christianity is not connecting us with our true power, especially.
I feel like this lady is leaning on her own understanding, and it's crazy. I mean, some of the things she's saying sounds okay, but some doesn't align at all, and it's crazy. So I mean, you should take whatever she's saying with a grain of salt. Not everything that she's saying sits well with me. Let's get back to the video.
When we talk about African spirituality, Christianity is so far from that, right? And it demonizes anything that it can't profit off of, unfortunately. Little rant, because I just wanted to like clear my stance. Christ consciousness, amazing. Christianity, I think, is really rooted in a lot of evil. I'm a spiritual life coach. If you feel called or led to work with me in any way, go ahead and click the link in my bio. I offer our first call free, and I would love to talk to you.
Does no one realize all of these countries are preparing for war? It's no coincidence what is going on with the US and how the UK out of nowhere just announced an incentive for high school students called a gap year scheme, which involves an incentive if they join the military early. It is quite alarming that all of these countries are launching incentives to try to boost their military enrollment. And I see so many veterans like, what's the problem? I don't pay property tax. I love serving in the military. That's because you served in the military when there was no war, dumbass. I really feel like all of these tariffs and making things too expensive for anyone to be able to afford, and ending Job Corp, and doing all of these immigration, illegal statuses, locking people up, detaining them by ICE, is all to fund and fuel the military. Look at what just happened in Ukraine. They have launched an attack that took them 8 months, and they are saying that this attack was so skillfully planned on Russia that they'll probably never recover. I 100% believe America is trying to prepare for our day in fucking court. Yeah, they're gonna end Medicaid because they know that people will go to the military just for healthcare. AI taking over regular, everyday, entry-level jobs, not a coincidence. They're gonna force people to go to the military. Where else can you get healthcare, a job, a 401k, and if there's no entry-level jobs available? As someone whose parents used to tell me that dumb people go to the army, which is not true, I don't agree with, it's because they go first. It's infantry. You don't have to be smart to do infantry whatsoever. And this is all a ploy. I'm telling you, they need people on the forefront. Let's not forget how they tried to include women in the draft. Please, let's not forget the videos pinned to my page. Wake up, pay attention.
Pellegrino, it literally says S Pellegrino. Spell agrino. Spell agree. Why do they cut off the word san? It's a spell of agreement. Or like Sunkissed. If you look at the Sunkissed logo, it doesn't say Sunkissed. It literally says Sin Kissed. Things like Albertsons is owned by Cerebrus, which is the three-headed dog of hell. And then you got Deathwater, Coca-Cola. Oh, it's named Coca-Cola because it came from Coca, because they used to put Coca in it. Gets its name from the demon Coca, or El Cucuy. All refers back to like the coconut, which was a race of hairy demons that would kidnap children. And Santa Claus is actually the Cucuy, and he's the mascot for Coca-Cola, or Die et Coke, or Sierra Mist, which is the Mystics. They're putting it out there to tell you that these are the occultics people that are in control. Big Tobacco owns most of these companies. They are putting spell, they're putting curses, they're putting poisons in these things. Like Dr. Pepper. Pepper means to be beaten.
Ukraine reportedly tricked Russian truck drivers into delivering 18-wheelers carrying drones into Russia, near Air Force bases. These trucks, which were parked outside the bases, were not driven by Ukrainians, but by Russian truck drivers who had been deceived. The Ukrainian government allegedly posted fake job listings offering lucrative long-haul trucking contracts. The truck drivers bid on these jobs online and, once awarded the contracts, were given trucks by what appeared to be a legitimate company, but was actually the Ukrainian government in disguise. They were told they were transporting short-stay housing equipment and instructed to deliver it to a specific location in Russia, supposedly the destination company. While en route, they received a call from the company, which was in fact Ukrainian intelligence, telling them to leave the trucks on the side of the road. They were assured that someone would come to pick them up, the job was cancelled, and they were paid, the money was wired to them. Later, drones hidden in the trailers were activated and launched attacks. Russian authorities eventually arrested the truck drivers, charging them with crimes they allegedly had no knowledge of. Ukraine claims the drivers were unaware of the true nature of the cargo, though some suggest this might also be a way to cover for the operation.
Do you have an Apple device? Stop right now if you use Apple. I don't care if you have 5 different Apple devices. If you had an Apple device between 2014 January and December 2024, Apple could owe you $8,000 per device. Listen to me. Siri was listening to conversations when she shouldn't have been. And she was selling it to third-hand parties so that they would know what to put on your feeds and stuff. And it was wrong. They were spying on you. So you could be owed up to $8,000 per device. This is real, but you only have until July 2nd to file a claim. This is something that they want to go under the hush. So by July 2nd, you would miss out on all that money. So if you had 10 Apple devices, a watch, a computer, anything, a tablet, a phone, you could be owed $8,000 per device because she was listening on all of them. If you want the information to the claim, comment under here, money, and I will inbox you the link to go and fill it out. They won't let me post it on TikTok. They don't want y'all to know about this. Do not miss out on this. I don't care if you only had the phone for a month that year. She was listening. She violated your rights. Go get your money. It took me literally 2 minutes. The $8,000 is going to come just like that. They have $95 million in this pot. Go get your money. Inbox money now.
Okay, so about 6 years ago or so, Google bought Nest.
Right.
Now, some people know that, but what they don't know is that about a year or two later, some what do I call myself? Some idiot professor type pulled apart one of the new Nest thermostats that they were selling and found that they had put a microphone into it without telling anybody. Now, around the same time that they're installing microphones into
Wait. This was the one that you purchased?
No, this is another professor type. Another lunatic like me
purchased a Nest
to investigate it. To find out why the question at the time was, why would Google be so interested in Nest?
Yeah.
Well, the reason they were interested is because it gets put in people's homes, and they were submitting patent applications at the time for new methods of analyzing sounds within the home.
When a crow flies in the sky and feels sick, then tell me, which doctor does it go to? To a human doctor? No, not at all. Then it goes to the ants. Yes, you heard it right.
Okay.
Whenever a crow feels sick, it goes straight to the colony of ants, which we call ant hill. There it spreads its wings and sits quietly. And then what do the ants do? Gradually, from the legs of the crow, it spreads from the wings to its entire body. But why does a crow do this? Because the ants have a secret chemical called formic acid. This chemical is used in many medicines because it is anti-parasitic, antibacterial, and antifungal. That is, whatever bacteria, fungus, or other insects are inside the crow, these ants push them out and become a doctor.
Did you guys see what happened in Denver? People in Denver woke up to an all-red sky, y'all. I'm talking about blood crimson. Fire should be falling out of the sky type of stuff. Y'all see that huge thing right there, y'all?
What the fuck is going on in Denver? Why was sky red this morning, the 2nd of June 25?
Okay, so we seen blue skies, teal skies, purple and blue rain, and now Denver has its own personal red light therapy, y'all. What is going on in the world? So you mean to tell me that the sky just turned apocalyptic overnight? Did y'all see the aurora borealis? So this was in Colorado last night. I don't think this is enough to turn the whole sky red in the rising, but this is very interesting, y'all. Check this out. Wow, y'all see that? Now let's come over to Australia, and this is what the sky was looking at over in Australia. Y'all see this? Look at that, y'all. Look at this. Look at the amazing fire up in the sky. Don't act like all of this ain't connected, y'all. Solar energy is off the charts. The sun is popping off. The geomagnetic storm, you have the cosmic fire, and then you have the sky changing all kind of mood lamp colors. This is amazing. Look at that, y'all. Something is most definitely stirring up above, y'all. So let me ask y'all a question. Is this the calm before the storm? Is this the calm before the storm, especially with everybody seeing the two suns out there right now? But yes, y'all, what a time to be alive. Denver, Colorado, what's going on out there? How y'all doing? Let me know down in the comments below. Like, follow, and share for more videos like this. Just shift this here. Let's get it. Peace in.
Nobody talks about how when Jesus rose from the grave, he didn't go back to the ones who crucified him. He could have been like, yo, y'all done messed up. Look who's back. I'm him. So about that whole crucify me thing, yeah, how'd that work out? Nah, Jesus distanced himself, and that tells me one thing. You can forgive people, but you don't have to stay close to them. Jesus loved Judas, but he didn't invite Judas to breakfast after his resurrection. Jesus prayed for his enemies, but he spent time with his disciples. Jesus didn't command us to stay close to everyone, but he did command us to forgive everyone. Forgiveness is required. Reconciliation is optional. Access is earned. Trees don't hang around grass, even though they all started in the same place. If you're always having to be the bigger person, maybe you should stop hanging around so many little people. If you're friends with everyone, you're enemies with yourself. Don't waste your time trying to prove your glow up to people who can't even see the light. You can bless someone from a distance and still block their number. Jesus loved everyone, but he didn't stay close to everyone, and neither should we. Can I get an A? Man?
Ukraine has struck inside of Russia again, this time blowing up the Kerch Bridge. Underwater drones are currently hitting this structure that keeps the bridge up, which connects Crimea to mainland Ukraine. Ukraine's using these right here, underwater guided drones, or simply put, underwater missiles. And this footage was captured by a Russian security camera, and this is going on over and over and over again. The Russians have completely evacuated the bridge right now. They're not letting any cars or military personnel on top of it. Pretty much having to let this play out because there's no defense for underwater drones. They are putting up netting right now to catch some of these underwater drones. It's not doing well as explosions are constantly being heard throughout Crimea. If you're wondering, this is the guy of the Ukrainian intelligence agency who planned this attack. A few days ago, he also was in charge of the attack that struck deep inside of Russia. This is the second Russian intelligence failure we've seen in 3 days, striking key infrastructure inside of Russia, because Crimea has been Russian since 2014. Right now, they do not think the bridge will collapse, but if it does, that is billions worth of dollars and years to rebuild this.
Out of the 9 stones that was on the breastplate of Tyrus, who is the alter ego of Lucifer, and to your Persian students, the term Tyrus, connected into the Persian lexicon, it means attached or tied to one of the goddesses called Lenore, tied to Lenore. So in the Gospels, the Syrophoenician woman came to Christ. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. Prior to the 325 AD conference in Nice in Turkey, the word of the Lord did not have words that were separated. God's word was all one interconnected code. So the term a connected to the term devil becomes a Cyprian term, which is a dialect of Greek, meaning Advil. Pharmakia, pharmaceutical, the pharmaceutical industrial complex. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil or with Advil, the acronym tied to Lenore.
These little papers control human happiness. Let's see what happens.
You're telling me humans base happiness on colored coupons?
Absolutely. They call it money, and literally trade their whole existence just to stack it up.
But they're just coupons?
Exactly. They worship them so much, they even invent ways to waste them. Like buying ripped jeans or water that tastes slightly like fruit.
And losing these coupons makes them sad?
Sad? They straight up spiral. Lose one coupon and they're questioning life itself, lying awake at night, Googling crypto.
So more coupons mean more happiness?
You'd think. But no, they always want more. Get coupons, spend coupons, cry about coupons, repeat forever.
And they willingly keep doing this.
Oh, proudly. They call it hustling and brag about burnout on TikTok.
Humans are something else.
Wait until you learn about marriage.
Trump is building a database to spy on every single American, and he tapped Palantir to do it, a CIA-funded tech company co-founded by tech billionaire and Republican donor Peter Thiel. In 2010, Thiel shared his real motivations out loud.
We could never win an election because we were in such a small minority. But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through a technological means.
Thiel knows his ideology could never win an election because he's skeptical of democracy, believes women shouldn't vote, wrote a book criticizing multiculturalism and diversity, and has defended. What he's arguing is that technology can bypass the need for majority support. That tech is Palantir. The perfect opportunity for Thiel to enact his plan came when Trump enlisted Palantir to build the most expansive surveillance infrastructure in US history. It would integrate sensitive records from all government agencies and use AI to profile behavior and identify individuals deemed risky by the system, giving the government more power than ever. The Trump admin claims more data could help them improve public safety and detect fraud, but we all know that's not what would happen. Former Palantir employees have warned that a centralized system like that could be used to surveil, target, and silence anyone the government disagrees with. It could also be used to influence public opinion. Remember Cambridge Analytica, the company that used data to build psychological profiles on Americans so they could manipulate their voting behavior during the 2016 election? Yeah, it would be like that, but on an even bigger scale. Even MAGA feels betrayed by this move. Nick Fuentes, a far-right Trump supporter, said, seriously, if Palantir isn't the deep state, then what is? We have to come together to stop this drastic expansion of government control and power.
Inside the smartphone are 62 microchips containing a total of 90 billion transistors. These microchips are incredibly powerful and the cornerstone of all technology. But how are billions of nanoscopic transistors manufactured into a microchip the size of a tiny ant? Well, all these microchips were manufactured in a semiconductor fabrication plant like this one. Inside it is a clean room, which spans the area of 8 football fields and is filled with hundreds of machines, ranging in size from that of a van to that of a city bus, and costing anywhere between a few million and $170 million. Within this microchip factory, silicon wafers travel from machine to machine and undergo around 1,000 processes over a 3-month period. And by the end of production, each silicon wafer will be covered in hundreds of CPU chips, each containing 26 billion transistors. When we zoom in, we can see the nanoscopic transistors at the bottom and over a dozen layers of wires above. This integrated circuit is then cut out from the wafer, tested, and packaged so that it can be installed into your desktop computer. In this video, we're going to explore the entire microchip manufacturing process and show you how billions of nanoscopic transistors and an impossibly complex 3D maze of wires are manufactured in one of the world's most technologically advanced microchip factories. It's an incredibly complicated process, so stick around and let's jump right in. A portion of this video is sponsored by Brilliant.org. There are 2 sides to understanding how microchip manufacturing works. The first is the sequence of steps and processes needed to build the nanoscopic transistors and the labyrinth of wires. Whereas the second is how the semiconductor fab and multi-million-dollar equipment of the clean room floor work. And we'll be flipping between these 2 sides to get a complete picture. Let's start by opening up this desktop computer, focusing on the CPU and taking a look at what's inside. Here we have an integrated circuit, or die, which we'll refer to as a chip. This chip has 24 cores, a memory controller, a graphics processor, and many other sections. Within one of the cores, we can see its block diagram and the various elements. Zooming in on this multiply block, we find a layout of 44,000 transistors that physically execute 32-bit multiplication and constitute just 0.00017% of the overall 26 billion transistors in the CPU. Zooming in even further, we see layers of metal wires or interconnects, and at the very bottom are the transistors that form the basic logic gates. Note that these layers of metal interconnects aren't floating, but rather the empty space that you see is filled with insulating materials, thus providing structure and preventing the metal wire layers from touching. Furthermore, Here we're only showing the transistors at the bottom and 5 layers of metal interconnects, with vias traveling vertically between the layers. In actuality, there are a total of 17 metal layers of wires in the CPU, and each successive set of levels uses larger and larger interconnects. At the bottom are local interconnects that move data around this 32-bit multiply circuit. In the middle are intermediate interconnects that move data around the core, and at the top are global interconnects that move data around the entire CPU. You might be wondering, how small are these transistors? Zooming in again and past the interconnect layers, we find FinFETs, which are transistors whose channel dimensions are 36 by 6 by 52 nanometers, with a transistor-to-transistor pitch of 57 nanometers. Clearly, the transistors are incredibly small. Here's a mitochondria, a dust particle, and a human hair for size comparisons. Now that you have a sense of what the transistors and labyrinth of metal interconnects look like, let's explore how they're manufactured. We'll begin with an analogy. Imagine baking a cake that's 80 layers tall, with each layer cut to a unique shape. To make this cake, there are 940 steps in the recipe, which takes 3 months to complete and includes hundreds of exotic ingredients. And if any measurement, baking time, or temperature is more than 1% off, then the cake is entirely ruined. That's kind of what it's like to make a microchip. But microchips are even more complicated. Let's look at a single layer of this integrated circuit and run through a simplified set of steps used to build it. To start, a layer of insulating silicon dioxide is deposited on top of the wafer, and then a layer of light-sensitive photoresist is spread across the top. Next, using UV light and a stencil, a pattern is applied to the photoresist. Solvents then are used to remove the areas hit by the UV light, thus creating a patterned mask layer. Using the mask, the revealed silicon dioxide is etched away down to the previous layer. Next, the mask layer is removed, and a layer of...
That dude that founded Oculus, he started this company. It's pretty genius, but also really scary. He formed his own Stark Industries, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
And so instead of the U.S. government raising tax dollars to fund Boeing or Lockheed Martin to build a weapon, he already builds them, and then he sells them. So his stuff is like crazy advanced, and it's all AI stuff. He was the one, the drone with the truck, the boom.
Oh, that one.
Okay. What they're not saying is that he will be selling to other countries too.
Yeah,
and that's the military, we call it
industrial complex.
Yes. The fighter jet that he made, it's an AI fighter jet. It's totally autonomous, but it's built using commercialized parts. Like the engine is from a Boeing 747 commercial plane.
Modding it just enough to make it work.
Like bring the prices down and stuff like that.
People like that rise to power because they realize inefficiencies in the processes that exist in government. When you take things like AI and the ability to leverage other companies, they're going to be able to build things better without all the bureaucracy and the red tape that comes with massive companies within the government industry. But
you would think.
E o presidente Trump chegou hoje à Arábia Saudita dando...
Ao lado do príncipe Mohammed bin Salman, Trump visitou projetos de investimentos do país nos Estados Unidos. Do país nos Estados. $600 bilhões no total em várias áreas.
Ele dominará as manchetes, será exaltado nas arenas dos esportes, nos palcos da música, nas telas do cinema e nas grandes plataformas digitais. Seu nome ecoará nas redes, nos debates, nas conversas cotidianas. Seu rosto estampará produtos, campanhas e causas globais.
So get this. Donald Trump's phone lock screen, it's not a family photo, it's not his grandkids, or even the American flag. It's a photo of himself, caught in that classic finger-pointing pose. The internet immediately took notice after a photo of him stepping off Air Force One made the rounds. And naturally, social media exploded. One user called it the most on-brand thing ever. Another said he's the GOAT of trolling. And honestly, they might be right. But here's the kicker. This isn't even new. That same self-love lock screen was spotted in 2023 while he was golfing, and again in 2024 on a different flight. And look, we all love a good selfie, but having yourself as your lock screen? What are your thoughts?
The best way to hide something is to not hide it at all. So we're in Plaza Castilla right now in Madrid, and it's really cool because people walk by this every single day and they don't know because they don't see the hidden Masonic symbolism here. So it's actually really cool. So in the first temple period, King Solomon, David's son, he was instructed to build 2 columns outside the temple, Boaz and Hakim, okay? To this day, every single Masonic temple is required to have 2 columns outside the entrance. Now, if you're a city of consequence, you will have obelisks, right? Now, the thing you're supposed to do with obelisks is you're supposed to have them situated on top of 2 intersecting circles, or known as a Vesica Pisces. Why? Because the Vesica Pisces looks like a gyat, like the front end of a gyat, right? So it's a sex symbol. It's basically telling you this is the birth of something. Now, you have the birth of something, you have the entrance to something, right? So what is that behind this? This is the business district of Madrid. So it's telling you they're open for business. It's really cool. Another thing, very Masonic, you will see checkered patterns, black and white. So I'm going to jump as high as I can right now and show you something.
I have never seen the world this bad. Everything you're seeing behind me is happening right now simultaneously. And oh yeah, that's a doomsday fish. That's like the 100th doomsday fish, but this one didn't just come out the ocean. It walked up out the ocean, was like yards from the ocean. But let's start right here with the most important. This was Russia preparing just a few hours before, before the Crimea bridge was just blown up. And oh yeah, it gets worse. This is allegedly a Russia Doomsday Channel walkie-talkie, and it was playing some crazy frequency. Nope, you hadn't already seen this. This is another volcano going off. This one, Japan. It's not Etna in Italy. And also, we have Yellowstone acting up right now as we speak. What are the odds? Now, you know that horrible earthquake that hit Turkey, the Middle East, Egypt, Rhodes? Check this out. Now it's flooding. Yeah, all of Turkey is like flooding right now. You guys, you cannot even make this up. And by the way, the horror stories that are coming out about that earthquake yesterday are like literal nightmares, you guys. And now, leaving the Middle East, besides that, which is an attack that Yemen just launched, there's a giant mudslide going off in China. Wild hail is all over the earth. America, Australia, just giant hail